Fortnite Chapter 2 is upon us, everyone. Poggers! Pog! 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 We like Fortnite! We like Fortnite! Okay, now that all the boomers left, let's talk, Zoomers. I'm getting old, okay? I'm 28 years old now, which means people are gonna start calling me sir. So let me impart some wisdom to you. There's this thing called the primary debates on television, and tonight, CNN is airing the fourth debate between Democratic presidential candidates. It's mostly just a bunch of old people yelling at each other about how little they plan to change this country in the future, because old people hate change. Except for one old guy, Bernie Sanders. The problem is that Bernie Sanders is super old, and he recently had a heart attack, which means it's up to people like us, younger people, relatively younger people like me, to stop playing Fortnite every now and then and at least start learning about politics. You know, pay attention to what's going on. Because a lot of those old people I just mentioned aren't making the best choices when it comes to your future because they care more about money than they do about addressing the very real problem this nation faces, like healthcare. Now, you might think that your current healthcare is fine, except it isn't. 40% of Americans don't have $400 in emergency spending, which means your parents might be one step away from bankruptcy, even if they have insurance, because our healthcare is insanely expensive. And only 2 people on that stage are reliably committed to delivering a healthcare system that doesn't kill you simply because you don't have enough money. You know, like the way they do healthcare in European countries, such as the UK, Norway, or European countries like Canada. Another serious problem is climate change. Our global temperature increased by 1 degree Celsius. That's why we're experiencing extreme weather conditions all around the world with much higher frequency. These changes make the world less stable, causing death, destruction, famine, and wars, all of which displace millions of people who need our help. According to the World Bank, by 2050, climate change will force more than 140 million people to become internal refugees within their own country's borders. This will impact our lives as adults way worse than it will affect the people who are currently sitting in positions of power, because they're gonna die by the time that this becomes a giant problem. And that's probably why most of whom are acting like it's either not our fault or we just simply can't do anything about it. Not good. Now, faced with such imposing problems, and I'm only scratching the surface here, it's understandable to get discouraged and want to throw your hands up and say, F it, and just go back to playing Fortnite. But this is the system we have, and if we want to take control of our future instead of leaving it to others, especially old people, we have to get involved. So here are my thoughts briefly on the Democratic candidates you should be tuning in to watch tonight. Joe Biden, literally sundowning. His campaign is committing elder abuse by keeping him in the race. His brain is leaking out of his ears. He's the only person with a track record that literally sounds like he's a Republican, whether it be his advocacy for the Iraq War, his crime bills that locked up huge chunks of the African American population, and a bill he wrote that became the Patriot Act, that lets the government spy on you through your MacBook camera as you jerk off. Kamala Harris is fake and a cop who acts way more progressive than she actually used to be. I have zero faith in her actually following through on any progressive policy she champions and then usually ends up changing her mind on. Pete Buttigieg, also fake and a huge centrist. He openly gets money from big donors, yet still fails to raise as much money as Bernie or Elizabeth Warren, who are only getting money from independent donors. Beto O'Rourke, he says f a lot and was the Democratic flavor of the month until Pete came in and showed him up. Now that he has nothing to lose because of his pole position, I look forward to hearing more curses from Beto O'Rourke. Amy Klobuchar, I have no idea why or how this person is still in the race. She's literally a worse Hillary Clinton. Who is a fan of Amy Klobuchar? Please, someone explain this to me. Who is out there saying, you know what America really needs? Reasonable tax credits, that's what. At least John Delaney is a total goon, does steroids, allegedly, and is an interesting person overall. Cory Booker is largely irrelevant because he seems like an alien man trying to act natural in his new human skin, and he keeps having cool moments, but literally no one cares. Julian Castro is a good idea for immigration, but again, not broad enough. Doesn't have enough policies, or people don't really care. Andrew Yang wants to pay you $1,000 a month, so you shut the f up. Tom Steyer is the literal example of money buying access, as the only reason he was able to get into this debate to begin with. Billionaires shouldn't exist, okay? I'm sure Tom Steyer's well-manicured presence on the debate stage tonight won't change my opinion on that fact. And then you have Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. Both are good. Bernie's better. Okay, I hope that was informative enough. I'm Hasan Piker, and this has been The Breakdown.